How's it going, everyone? It's Derek Lamrou, and today we're going to do a lighting breakdown with director of photography Nick Pilecki. Nick, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I think today, this one was a short film that we worked on together, and this scene opens the film and also was probably the largest lighting setup from that whole day, and I thought it'd be a really good project to kind of break down. We can talk about, what made this scene work, how you lit it, and, what were some of the factors and challenges that you had. So let's maybe give people kind of the context to where we were filming and what this scene needed to look like.
Yeah, so we're filming in kind of a living room here, and it's for a short film that Derek actually directed and produced. So this is kind of like setting the stage for our lead character who's having difficulty writing on a tape. So it's kind of showing that like she has a medical difficulty, which we find out to be Parkinson's. So I wanted to play it a little lower in the toe, like a little bit of a darker image because it's more of a serious subject matter, and I wanted to lean into like what I thought were the most interesting elements in the room. So when I'm kind of picking an angle, I'm like, okay, we have this great window we can light from, we have the door back there that we can push another light through. There's kind of this little like doorway entrance way that we can dolly through. So like I'm always thinking like, can we maximize depth while still being on brand for what the story is trying to tell?
I guess let's walk through your opening motivation for this scene. What are you motivating the light off of, and then we'll get into what the actual fixtures were.
So a lot of my lighting motivation here is from that kind of big bay window that we're seeing in the middle of the frame. We have a couple of lights, I think two 1200s that were bouncing off CRLS panels coming through there. So that's kind of like my big driver for this like almost somber, cool daylight look. Almost like, not an overcast look, but you're going for that kind of Ozarky, kind of greeny blue daylight tinge.
Now, what was the reason for using CRLS panels for this scene as opposed to just having light hard coming into the room here?
For me, the CRLS panels, they just like help feather your work, or you just like, whenever you can bounce a light, it's always gonna feel a little more natural. You're gonna lose a ton of level by bouncing light, but like here, the director and I, we weren't looking for like this like very warm, bright, golden hour beam to be coming through. Like this was supposed to be bleak, supposed to be dark. Like this is a dark moment for our character. So we just didn't want that like, very volumetric shaft coming through.
Yeah, to have a hard light in the scene wouldn't make a ton of sense for what you're actually seeing.
You're trying to say this person has a difficulty, and whenever you have volumetric light, most of the time it conveys positivity.
When you're going into the scene, we're starting with the window here, and then what are you motivating the actual key off of for your person?
The window would be the actual motivation for like the key, so that's what's giving that edge kind of around her head and body and kind of on the couch there. And I actually do think we've managed to sneak a 2-foot tube into the ceiling as kind of just like a top light to kind of like ever so slightly pull her out a bit. The other thing we added was these warm practicals. I'm a big sucker for, just anytime, daytime, nighttime scene, like I love highlight pops at like points of interest. So we had somebody go out to a thrift store, and I was like, I just need 4 kind of vintagey lamps in this orientation because it's gonna help create a shape around our subject. Like everything drives the viewer's eye toward the subject. If you were to remove these lamps, there's nothing wrong with that. This is just my personal taste and what I like to bring to the table.
We've got our key outside here. You've got your practicals set up in here. What is this little window doing here?
I believe we had a Forza 720 coming through there that just once again raising a little bit more of that daytime ambient, because like I'm never a huge fan of when things fall to complete blackness.
The room feels like it's all the same level. Like this window, and this window all feel like they're living in the same tone.
Yes.
It's not like just one big source. What camera and lens choice was this scene shot on?
So this is actually the first shoot I did on the Alexa 35. I didn't really get a chance to test drive it either, so this was kind of, we had a chance to bust it open on sort of our pre-light previs day, but this was kind of the first time we put it through its paces, and then we had the Atlas Mercuries, the 1.5 squeeze anamorphic lenses, and I love the pairing of these lenses. Like as soon as I slapped it on the camera, I was like, oh, like...
This is a 36 mil, obviously, too. It looks like,
super wide lens, and whenever you can go like very wide anamorphic, it has such a an expensive look to it because it's such a hard shot to get in terms of lighting. You have to have production design or a location that warrants going this wide. So like,
yeah. And I'm a big sucker for wide shots.
everybody is. It's just they're more expensive. Part of this is setting yourself up for success. Like this looks like, oh, I wish I had a location like this. It's like you do, but you also have to say like the patterns that recognize like what's going to work in the coverage, what's going to be your backdrop as you go in for mediums and close-ups, what's going to happen when you do your over the shoulders on the tape. Like all of these things have to factor in once you're setting up your wide.
Well, in this scene here, I mean, you know, we talked about in one of our other videos is lighting for the wide and then not having to really tweak too much when you go in for the close-ups. And I mean, for this film here, you know, I needed you to light the wide so that we could just get in for the close-ups right away. And we didn't have that time to just like do an entire relight for every, you know, look that we needed for each of the scenes.
And I'm pretty sure for the close-ups, all we did here was vertical light matte frame right at like 10%, a couple of flops, frame left, and then one warm vertical tube we might have walked in as kind of an edge light over her right shoulder.
So this scene here, I mean, seems expansive, but really, I mean, when you come down to it, you're looking at a couple lights outside that are bounced. You have a couple practicals inside. You've got your motivation, you've got your orientation done right, and you can pull this off with, you know, a limited amount of gear. You don't need, you know, a bunch of 18Ks to fuse through 20 by 20s. This can be pulled off with, you know, 1200 Bs and a couple practicals.
Yep, and then another thing when you're using fixtures outside, like if you have the time, go mirrors first, because if you go direct first and you're like, this looks too sourcey, I can feel our light, as soon as you say to the G&E team, like, how long would it take to get a mirror up there? Production's already like, we got to get rolling. So
yeah.
Do the bigger setups first, and then it's kind of like when I go into a space and it's like, black out this wall. It's a lot easier to be like, oh, it's too crunchy, and you just like untie the blacks and send them right down to the ground than it is to be right before rolling and be like, hey guys, can we tie up the T-bar at 20 by real quick? And they're gonna be like, real quick?
Yeah, that's not a quick solution. So having this stuff planned out ahead of time is super important.
Yeah, and figuring out which way you can like backtrack quicker from.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more breakdowns, just make sure you tap that subscribe button. If you have questions about this setup or have questions for Nick about lighting in general, send him a DM or comment on the video below, and we'll see you in the next video.